Let's get started then. I know I don't expect that many people to actually show up for this one. Like I said, I think there's a lot of...
It's also 20 degrees.
I know, it's great right now, right? Finally. But I think in poker, there's a lot of like ego players as well. And so they're going to think, yeah, luck is just for magical, nothing to it, don't need to learn about it. But let me see if I can change your mind. So we're going to be talking about mostly, this is like the table of contents, but let's first go into why luck. Like why was I curious about this? And yeah, I mean, like I said, I just noticed a lot of people kind of nonchalantly saying, hey, like, you know, he's lucky, she's lucky, or not. I'm the most unlucky person in this whole table, and everyone thinks that. So again, who is really the most unlucky person? Well, I would say as poker players, we know that there's a lot of parallels, especially if you've attended some of my classes. I kind of talk about this like holistic approach to poker, where you want to take care of your in order to perform at the table, you have to practice on the table stuff, how to play itself, but also off the table, such as like bankroll management, or like taking care of your body, your mental, sleeping well, eating well, all of those different things. That all plays into ensuring you perform at the highest level on the poker table, right? So that's something to think about. And so as poker players, if you know that, then you should know that there are a lot of parallels with life and with poker and its decisions. And I think luck, absolutely no difference. So that's what sparked my curiosity in its decision making. And my goal today with every one of you is to just understand it at a minimum, and if it helps, there's some ways to ensure you get better results, increase your decision making quality, and you'll probably have some stronger emotional and like mental control. Okay. So what is it? Simply defining it is it magical or logical? If you're the type that really doesn't understand it, you're just going to defer to it being something magical, and you're literally just going to leave it at that. You're not even going to be more curious to think about it any deeper. Is it random, or can we influence it? Well, we're going to find out. Google's definition is success or failure apparently brought by chance rather than through one's own actions. Or in other words, the outcome, the actual end result of events you don't fully control. That's like the literal, like, succinct definition for this, for luck. I'm going to give some examples, and then you guys can tell me, you know, like, it doesn't have to be a serious thing, but just like offhandedly, like, are you considered lucky or unlucky after you know, a few things. So like, let's say you get dealt aces on the button. Are you lucky?
No.
No? Okay. Yes. What about you? Do you think you're lucky? Get dealt aces? Yeah.
No, it's just random.
Random?
No, 5 times in a row, yes. But
Okay.
otherwise, it's
Okay.
bound to happen.
Peter, what about you? You get dealt aces on the button. Are you lucky?
I'm so lucky. And I'll be like, one time, double up one time. You're gonna lose big pots with like 4 or 5 of them. So.
Assume everyone on the table is a tag or a nit, and if you don't know, it just basically means you're a tight, aggressive player. So or a nit, you're generally playing very, very tight. You're not playing a lot of hands, right? And then when action comes to you, somehow on that table there's already a 3-bet, a 4-bet, and there's a 5-bet all in, and then it's your turn to act. Are you lucky with aces on the button? No, you don't think so? You think you're lucky when there's a 5-bet all in before your turn to act? When you have aces on the button? No? What about you?
I guess if you go back to your definition of luck, I guess you are. Right?
Okay. Okay. Key, your thoughts? Are you lucky in these spots? You get dealt aces. Are you lucky?
Yeah.
Okay. Assume everyone's a tag or nit, and then action comes to you, and there's already a 5-bet jam. Are you lucky? Huh? Yeah, okay. So then the 5-bet player shows 7 deuce off. He's a tag or a nit, but then he has 7 deuce off. and you recall he lost many hands, so and then in a row with premiums, so you probably attribute it to maybe he's tilted or whatever, and you have the best of it. Are you considered lucky or unlucky? Okay. Lucky, unlucky? This gets interesting. Board comes 7-7 deuce. Are you lucky or unlucky?
Unlucky.
Okay. Turn comes an ace. Are you lucky or unlucky? River comes a 7.
Definitions. Those are the things you don't have control over.
Right. And so river comes a 7. Are you lucky or unlucky? So that's a fun one. Okay, that's a poker hand. And then we have a real life example. Let's say you're interested in computer science or engineering. You happen to live in the local area that has the best university in the world for that particular subject. Are you considered lucky or unlucky? Lucky? Interesting, okay. You have all of their suggested qualifications and you apply but don't get in. Are you lucky or unlucky? Unlucky. Okay. As a result of that, your friends feel bad for you and they invite you out to have fun. You deny it at first, but after a few pushes, they finally convince you, and you go to a restaurant with them. You bump into a stranger, and they happen to turn out to be the principal of the university, and you're applying to, and then they say they like you, and then they say they'll help you get in. Are you lucky or unlucky? Lucky. So if you got in, would you have met this principal? You know, some things to think about. What if you met this person, but then they didn't like you? You unlucky or lucky, right? So now you start to understand how like it's very, very nuanced, how luck plays into literally like every single decision point in the tree of decisions as you're like navigating through life, and especially when you're navigating through poker. So there was a luck project done by Richard Wiseman. This was a multi-year, like a 10-year long research. And there was hundreds of participants, and he wrote a book about it. It's called The Luck Factor. And he explored things similar to what I'm talking about today, patterns of behavior, mindset, and decision making. The newspaper experiment is one of them. It was a 43-photo newspaper. And then the moderator, he was asking all the participants to count the number of photos in there and then report to him when they were done. The people who thought they were, okay, well, can you guess how long it took the people who were lucky and the people who were unlucky? And to count the number of photos in that newspaper and then report back to the, I guess, the experimenter or
How long it took?
yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
How long did it, like, just a quick guess, how long do you think it took the lucky people versus the unlucky people to count the number of photos in that newspaper? They just had to count, simple experiment, they just had to count the number of photos and then report to the experimenter. How long did it take the lucky people versus the unlucky people?
People felt like they could do it faster.
They felt like they can do it faster. Okay. It was 2 minutes versus a few seconds. Literally 2 minutes versus a few seconds. How did that happen? Well, one of the pages, it was in big bold letters and words that took up like half that page, and the lucky people noticed it, and it just literally said, there are 43 photos, you can finish and just report to the experimenter. And the unlucky people, and then the unlucky people took literally 2 minutes. The lucky people also spotted another opportunity if they decide to keep going forward, which is if you see this message somewhere around like half the page, tell the experimenter you saw this and win $250. Unlucky people all missed it. So what happened? Well, the lucky people spotted the opportunities because they were open-minded, relaxed, and aware. And they were just like looking for opportunities, basically, not just counting the photos. While the unlucky people missed those obvious advantages and they were just focused on counting just the task at hand. They tunnel visioned into it. Before we talk about like some other things about the truth, about how this works and whatever, think of the average person. Many of them actually rely on like good luck charms, rituals, talismans, praying before they play, you know, like bring some stuff. But then if you think back, and you look at some people that have these types of things, sometimes you see them running good. Sometimes you see them losing, even though they have it. So what Richard Wiseman found out is that in the surveys, a lot of people believe in it. A lot of people have lucky charms, but his research shows that none of it affects anything at all. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Did you say in poker there's an inverse relationship between win rate and lucky charms?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. It's possible. I don't think it just affects it, period. But let's look into this. So the truth is, there's like two main types of luck, and it's random and constructed. We're not too concerned about the random stuff. I'll cover it in like one of the slides, but we're not too concerned about it because it's something we can't control. The constructed is the stuff we can control. And so like the equation, the logical piece of this is luck equals probability times exposure times perception times response. Probability. This is the piece you cannot control, the singular factor you cannot control, and it could be the cards you're dealt, who you meet randomly, market timing, what the run out is, all of this stuff, right? You just cannot control it. An example is aces versus 7 deuce, like we just looked at, and this is the random or the blind luck that we were talking about. But note that this is the math portion of like the game, but also how the math portion of like, again, every single decision in your life. If you look deeper into that, use that data point to understand what are the just simply like what are the chances of something occurring. If like, for example, aces is a 80% favorite to win against like all the other hands, like even though you're unlucky in like all those other scenarios by the results, it's still lucky to have it in that particular spot, so you want to be playing it at that point in time, or in that decision. You can think of it as like using this decision point could be the card setup, aces versus 7 deuce, or like the chances of you meeting someone famous, let's say, or even mooning with Bitcoin. Like if you happen to invest into it, like what are the chances of you actually like making it before it pops off? Just giving you some random examples. The next factor is exposure. This could be things like how many hands did you play, how many people you meet, and how many shots you take. And this is where most people underestimate, because the more exposure you have, the more surface area for the probability of luck to hit. That's how you have to think about it. And if you're passive, then all the previous examples of you getting a good card setup, you meeting someone famous, or mooning on the Bitcoin, you won't even get it, because you probably won't even leave the house, right? You won't even get those chances. You won't even expose yourself to those chances. But if you're active, then you'd have that chance of getting aces versus 7 deuce, meeting that person, or mooning with Bitcoin, right? The perception piece is the part where it's mostly like skills related, gut instincts, whatever else. That's something you can work on as well. Do you see the opportunities that others ignore? Do you recognize those patterns of behavior? And literally, Oz and I can see the same board, the exact objective reality of the same runouts or whatever, but we see two different ways of playing that hand. That's another example. And how it plays will unravel like the result, and then people will attribute it to how lucky Oz was playing that hand in the way he played it, or how unlucky I was in the way I played it, let's say, right? So like, don't listen to, I would say one big piece of advice is just don't listen to what people say when they're talking about luck, unless they're diving deep into like the nuance and how it plays to that decision making, because then they're really reflecting and thinking about like how it plays, right? If they just like attribute it, then they're clearly not thinking about it. And that's why I think a lot of people, there's this common thing that a lot of people talk about their bad beats with each other or whatever, and then there's like a whole subset of people who say like, no one cares about your bad beats. Everyone has bad beats, whatever. And I think that's precisely the reason. People talk about bad beats, but they don't go in depth into discussing like, why did it happen? And I think if people started talking more about it, the conversation around that would be a bit different. Anyway, that's a side thing. Response is the last factor and is when presented, exposed to those opportunities, and let's say probability, or in other words, the EV, to winning that hand, or to having a good chance to making a good connection with that famous person, let's say, or mooning with Bitcoin, whatever it is. Do you act fast on it? Do you actually act on it? Do you capitalize on it? And when you're, emotional, even if it's a bad beat or whatever, how do you react to it? Positive and negative emotions is a form of tilt, even if it's positive, because tilt means if you're like deviating from your baseline and how you act on things. So even if it's positive, you are tilting.
Is it okay if I look at the formula again one more time?
Sure.
Thank you. Just one second. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay. What other things can you do? Well, in the book, he also talks about like what are some things you can do today. Is most people have a routine, so what you can do is like break that routine. Literally, just suddenly become aware and just think like, oh, I do this every single day. Maybe instead I'll take a different like path to work today, and then you automatically open yourself up to potentially like a different tree of decisions. And that is when you break routine and you present yourself with potentially different opportunities. That's one way of luck building. When you do that, you're also like putting yourself in more novel situations, so that actually like opens your eyes and you increase your awareness to spot potential opportunities, right? And a lot of he talks about in the book that a lot of the luckiest people, their mindset is also very different. They view their luck as something that, once in a while they do get unlucky, objectively speaking, but they look at it as like, that bad luck that I got could have been worse. If I, went to war, sucks I went to war, but it could have been worse. I could have died, let's say, right? Extreme example, but it's one of them. Listening to their gut. This one's an interesting one because it's something to do with perception. Gut is only refined the more you practice the skill. So the more you have a strong positive mental mindset, the more you're going to come into those decisions of like, opportunities of getting luck. It actually results into luck, and then it reinforces your gut instinct. But if you go the opposite path of making bad decisions, getting into like negative spots, and then attributing it just purely to luck, for example, your gut instinct will also compound in the negative direction. So this one's a little tricky. You have to like actually start building that good mental mindset and good decision making. And then once it compounds, then you can start trusting your gut more.
Is there any factor in there about mental health?
That is
people who suffer from mental illness, their gut could be telling them to
certainly anything that, again, I would say is some kind of form of tilt. Anything that deviates you away from like a baseline of thinking. And if that baseline is like as objective as you can be on like what's actually happening, instead of like feeling or personal feelings or emotional like perceptions of whatever is happening, then that means you're tilted in some way. That means you're going to make suboptimal decisions in some way. You're not going to be thinking clearly. Yeah, that's what I would say. Any other questions about that? I guess we can go to questions a little bit more later. Is this interesting so far?
Yeah, very.
Okay, cool. Okay. Then from there, that's kind of more on the life side, but then applications for poker. How does that translate? Well, track your hands as objectively as possible. Just literally like when I write down hands, I just write down exactly what happened. I don't like write a whole paragraph as to like, oh, I felt like this guy was such a nit, so I had to play against him or whatever. Like, just write exactly what objectively happened. You could write why you increased your increased your frequency of playing with that player simply because you saw in a session that he was doing this and X, Y, and Z. But don't let your emotions get into noting down like how that decision came to be. And then you can observe and look for a good table. For example, you don't have to jump at the first table that you see. You can go around, see how people play, and find out that, because table selection is a huge component into like ensuring you have a higher win rate as well. So if you notice like it's a whole table full of poker pros, you're probably not gonna win that table in the long run. So you might as well kind of just walk around, see where maybe some of the fish are at, or like whatever, and then choose that table. So that's another observation skill, right? Don't get stuck on hands, and keep your eyes on the next opportunity. As we saw earlier with the examples, you notice that every single decision, every single action resulted into, like, had some kind of amount of luck attributed into it. So you don't want to keep thinking about the previous hand. It's best to just note it down, maybe review it later, but like you're in another hand, go for it and just like focus on that hand next, so you can spot the opportunities. And same deal with gut instincts in this case. You're building that intuition. The more you objectively review those hands and discuss them. You want to discuss them with better players so that you can build a better, like net positive, sharper intuition. Now we can go to the questions and answers. That was it for the most part. Any questions? I'll give you a moment. I know it's a lot.
What I'd like to see is this is incredible, and I wonder if in the future there could be space for actually focusing on emotion. Maybe there are other authors or other, there might be other subject matter experts
On emotion?
on emotion specifically, right? Because like in my study of psychology, often people will move away from emotion, right? It's a lot of do not feel emotion.
Yeah, and a lot of people end up suppressing emotion,
Right?
but then sometimes it overloads
That's
as well.
right. That's right, because it has to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, that happens.
I will always think about the emotional side when I am engaged with the logic. So in the case of today, poker, if I'm just rational, just logical, that's going to hurt my game. I have to make room.
If you're just logical, you think that will affect your game?
Absolutely, yeah, because the emotions are there, regardless if you want them or not. So I need to have a way, even during a hand, to be able to identify what that is,
Right,
and how to process it.
and separate the emotion.
Not separate.
Not separate.
But it could just be, like, it depends on each individual, I think. For me, separating would...
So you prefer to play with emotions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Really interesting.
And I think that's a part of, like, you're talking about intuition, right?
Yeah.
Because let's say, for example, you notice there might be a spot where you might repetitively feel an emotion.
Yeah.
If I, and I have, can repeatedly, safely feel that emotion, intuitively, it will become less and less tilting.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that happens. Some people are like, they describe themselves quite literally as like feel players. I felt like he just didn't have it, or I felt like he's just running bad, so I'm just gonna like just run my 6-7 against his aces because I know I'm gonna crack it. It's like, yes, although that's the case, it's in terms of like the probability, the math behind it. I would say at least consider the EV of like the decision itself. If you're more likely gonna win, they say based on the law of large numbers that over time, if you make that decision 100 times, you're gonna win, whatever it is, like 80% of the time versus, losing 20% of that time, right? I think what I find is most important about this is at least knowing how it plays into your decisions, and then like taking a step back to not let it control your emotions. I think like you can have your emotions. I think that's fine because sometimes it could lead you to an interesting opportunity. But like, but I think as long as you're considering all the other factors, which goes back to this formula right here: luck equals probability plus exposure plus perception. I think it plays into like that perception and like response point. Is like those things you can control. Emotions are factored into it, so it does play into luck. Like there were a few times where I thought, you know what, like this is not the right move, but I just want to gamble, you know, and then I just do it. Emotionally, I was charged to make that decision, and then I get into it, and then I just like flop the nuts right away, and I just win, and then I end up souring this other guy, and then he gets tilted, and then he ends up playing bad, and I end up getting into more hands with him as a result, and I win more money. Like stuff like that might happen, right? And that's just like, I think that's what's so funny and beautiful about luck, is because like that absolute piece is a magical piece, because you literally just don't know how the math will make that result happen. But all you can do is just control every single like your environment, your association, your engagements, all leading up to that point, and try to increase your chances to hit lucky, right? Like if you have aces versus 7 deuce, and then you're both all in, and then you're just waiting for the run out, like it doesn't matter what the run out is at that point. Like don't even focus on that result, because again, you made like math probability wise, you made the best possible decision. Exposure wise, you went out, you went to play, you got into that spot, okay, and then like perception wise, like you determined it was like the right thing to play that at that point. Response wise, same thing. Like there you go. There's your luck right there. You win, but you can't say like as soon as you win that suddenly you're the luckiest person in the world, or you can't have other people just saying like, oh, he's always lucky. He's always in those spots. It's like, no, you're not always in those spots. Sometimes you're the one that's on the losing side of those spots, right?
And I think this stuff is scary. Right?
Sorry.
And when I talk about emotions, listen, everyone in here, you're lying. If you say you never felt afraid playing poker.
No.
You've never felt fear.
I'm always afraid.
Okay, that's right.
I'm always afraid.
So you have to deal with
I'm always with these luck box.
Yeah,
I've seen them.
yeah, and like if I
Say with these people on luck box, I don't want to be in the hand with this.
I was
guy.
going to say, right, like something that really helped my game is looking, and I think I could do more of this, but is looking really statistically at how bad a person can run.
the variance is crazy. Variance is
If you
absolutely.
face that, and you can accept that reality. But for me, that was very freeing. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it despite it. We'll see what reality is like for me.
Yes.
Understanding that, yes, absolutely, mathematically, if you can understand that,
Yes.
that is the nature.
That you hit on the nail. Once you realize that, then I think it frees you from like that emotional state of like not worrying about that result. It's just like you made that decision, you're good. But that result, you can't be thinking about it anymore, or else you're just gonna tunnel and just miss all the other following opportunities they're on. Sorry.
You want to know what that is? I went in November to Vegas.
Okay.
I've been rivered in all the tournaments with aces, straights, full houses, and I report, and I went with $15,000, and I came back with minus $5,000. You want more than that?
And turn with
But I'm
poker.
here, I'm good, with all the luck boxes. You see all the luck boxes?
I like
But I'm
also,
here.
I like to also accept your donation.
No problem, we're alive. But it's fine, we make it up, but we're still alive. But I have the question about the luck box. So how can you reset when you see the person and say he's not a luck box? Just reset it and say he's a normal person, he's not lucky. It's just happened.
Yeah.
So we play in a like confined environment. We play with the same players all the time because we are in the under night club, under world club, or under world tournaments. We see the same person again. I see him in
Yeah.
clubs. Whenever we go around, in here, in TPP or in La Lodge. So
Yeah.
how can, if I see him again, I just reset, No, he's just a normal player. I've seen him play, but he doesn't have the luck.
Well, let me ask you, right? You just named a bunch of things that you said you were really unlucky in. Do you think you're the only one that has ever experienced that?
No.
There you go. That's the answer right there, right? Like everyone experiences the same thing. I mentioned it in the beginning, but I guess a lot of you weren't here. But everyone experiences the same thing. Everyone experiences good luck. Everyone experiences bad luck, and it really comes down to if you're like aware enough and discerning enough to understand how luck plays into the nuance of decision making, and then you'll realize how literally every single decision making point there is luck involved. I'm going to go back to the examples because some of you didn't see it, but it's quite literally like eye-opening, I think, for some of you.
Thank you.
So it was this, right? Here's an example of this.
Sure.
You get dealt aces on the button. Are you considered lucky?
Excellent.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. So you're up against Oz, right? And then you assume everyone here is a tag or a nit, and when action comes to you on the button, there's already a 5-bet jam all in by Oz.
Perfect.
Okay.
Never do that.
No, I know. I'm just, playing and having fun with this. And then the 5-bet player shows 7 deuce offsuit. You recall that he lost a lot of hands from premiums and stuff earlier on in that very session.
Possible. He's trying to steal.
And do you think you're still lucky at this point?
Should be.
Unless, who are we playing against?
Board comes 7-7 deuce.
Are we playing against Will?
I don't think until you see the flop, you can't consider yourself lucky or not because you don't have enough information.
So there's a good point. A lot of people think that because they had aces pre-flop that they are supposed to win.
No.
That's not the
You
case,
don't
right?
have the information.
You don't. Yeah. Probability-wise, you're only an 80% favorite to win that hand, right?
That's
So-
the donkey luck, not the luck. Donkey luck.
Maybe. So like, but like, who's to say that like it could have been his first hand coming in, and he could have said like, oh, I just feel so good today. I want to, just like shove my first buy-in.
Feel a donkey today.
And he had like 7 deuce. Oh, perfect. This is a troll hand, a meme hand, and I can shove it right there, right? Yeah, I feel like a donkey today.
Yeah.
And then like it's all those little things that led up to him making that decision to do that, and then somehow fortune fell on his lap, right? Anyway, board comes 7-7 deuce. Are you lucky? No, right?
You're lucky with an ace coming.
Turn comes an ace. Are you lucky then?
No, river comes to 7. And the river comes to 7.
River comes to 7. Are you lucky then? And then I think everyone looks at the final result and they think, and they just like categorize it ultimately as I'm unlucky. And I am forever unlucky until they win that next hand. But what I wanted to really illuminate here is just like how every single point is there's a decision there, and you can opt out at some point too. You could have folded aces. Let's say Oz was giving me an example in the tournament. If you're in the stone cold bubble with aces, there are some situations where you want to fold it, especially if you're in a very big spot.
That would be lucky. If you
It's
fold it
it's
in
the
that spot.
position.
And that's in the same spot. Exactly.
Positions. If you called but you ended up folding, that would be really lucky.
And if you called and you hit this run out, you're gonna think you're unlucky for the rest of your life until you win another 5K pot or something, right? So
I like to say that every hand is I like to separate it as a single event. So I think the luck is worth more to some people than to other people. Because let's say you won this hand by going in with the 7 deuce and you win it because you hit the quad on the river.
mhm.
Like this person is not gonna hold the chips towards the end of the tournaments. Like he's gonna bust playing like this in one way or the other.
Right.
So that really didn't hold much of value in terms of luck.
Yeah, in the absolute circumstance, in that very spot, he won. But in the long term, he's not making the most probabilistic good situation, right?
Who is more prepared, who's prepared to receive the luck, who's worthy of the luck, they're able to assess it and evaluate and say, hey, because I won this, now I can really, really play it and make it more worth it. You know?
I don't know about worthy of luck, because I used to think that, but then now after I like researched it more, I think it's like I don't think anyone's really worthy of luck.
So
You just
There could be a perception, sorry to cut
Yeah.
you off, Peter, but based on your childhood,
yeah.
your upbringing, your life experience. I mean, if everything was just handed to you and you were protected at every turn, when something bad happens, bad luck, you feel like it shouldn't be happening to you.
Right.
Whereas someone who has experienced difficulty or has taken a lot of risk, they know that each situation might turn out differently for that and not necessarily call it luck, just call it the randomness of events. So the psychology in your entire life can influence how you perceive this.
Yeah, and
This shouldn't be happening to me. Everything goes my way.
yeah.
And that will be determined of how you integrate that information.
Yeah, exactly.
Recognizing it even, right? As you mature, sometimes you can recognize, hey, I'm a spoiled brat. Everything's been done for me.
Sure.
And, you know, I think if you can accept that you're not the center of the universe, then luck is perceived totally differently.
There you go. Yeah, agreed. That's why I ran this module today, right? Like, I just don't think a lot of people have the same kind of wisdom you have.
I wouldn't call it wisdom.
It's experience that leads to this wisdom,
I
right?
wouldn't call it wisdom. I'd call it, I've taken enough risks in life. Some have been won and some have been lost. To logically say that it is random.
Right.
And to the point of not having any expectation of the outcome.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have no negative or positive emotion
Exactly.
following the outcome.
And that's how you can ensure you have the highest chance of performing on the table, right? When you remove not necessarily remove all of the emotion, but just like not let it like deviate you into a tilt mode or whatever it is, right? And I think with this, it's just to let you know like what are the things that play into this randomness in the first place, right? And I think that's the goal for today. I'll do one more to just drive this point across for the ones who didn't see it, but you know, same here. You know what? Let's change this up a little bit, especially for the men here. If there's a girl that you really think is really cute or whatever, you know, you want to talk to you want to go out and have fun with your friends. I'm not going to use this. You want to go out with your friends, but you decide not to go out. Would you ever meet your wife? Would you ever meet this potential girlfriend, this person? No, right? You're gonna want to make the decision to be active. So you're gonna go out, and then let's say you meet, I don't know, Margot Robbie. I don't know, someone, you know, like at a restaurant. Isn't that considered lucky? I don't know. You know, what are the chances that happens, right? Okay, whoever, I don't even know, man. Like, but yeah, like you would never have gotten that exposure to meeting her if you didn't choose to, you know, go out and seek out put yourself in a position to find that opportunity. So I think that automatically drives the point home. If you talk to her and she just like doesn't like you, okay, that's like you're considered unlucky, but I don't think that's the case either. Like, you just maybe there's a bunch of environmental or peer situations in the past where you didn't build up your social or communication skills or all of these different things in order to be ready for that conversation.
For me, yeah, absolutely, like exposure. Right? Like that's a key word.
Exposure is probably the biggest one that people can
You have to
control.
have enough experience, enough exposure. You have to have experience enough failure and integrate what those experiences are like intellectually and emotionally in order to grow from those things. If you don't, either in your example by completely avoiding or suppressing, denying, then you're going to remain stuck.
Yeah, so that's why I think now, as we grow older, people like, I don't know what it is with like some people's like neuroplasticity or whatever, but like they end up like not taking any more chances. They're really scared of like the results of like their lived experience. So then they start like just withholding themselves. They don't really want to get to know other people. They don't really want to go out anymore, you know, stuff like that.
Because predictability is comforting.
They want yes.
Right.
Yes. And yes, exactly. And so they just don't grow anymore at all.
I didn't know I was here for therapy.
I'm telling you, this. Hey, look, if you master this stuff, you'll just perform better on the table. That's all I'm gonna say. Other than my bad luck, I do okay. Anyway, any more questions? Any more questions? Yes.
How do you, like, is there players who will consider themselves unlucky with certain deals?
Oh yeah.
See, do you really think that is your fault?
No, I'm not saying from like, it's not my fault. I don't play. But from the sense of, like, let's say me and Peter are dealing, right? He's like me out. Somebody might win a lot with me and lose with him. And be like, oh my god, I'm so unlucky with Peter. I'm so unlucky. And he doesn't play any hands.
Yeah.
Right, so how do you try to get them out of there? How do they get themselves out?
See, I just think they haven't reflected or introspected enough to know. And that's why they're blaming, finding comfort in blaming something so that they can eliminate the responsibility of having to figure it out for themselves.
I add to that.
Yes.
I'm a bit of a believer in manifestation. So if you believe a dealer is unlucky for you, every hand that dealer is going to be unlucky for you.
That's the gut instinct, the intuition we were talking about. If you continuously believe that, you are building a mindset that will perpetuate that narrative.
Yeah.
But it'll prevent you from
It will prevent you from growing.
looking at it objectively, because I don't want to say, oh, maybe I need to study more, or maybe I need to go to lower state,
Yeah.
or maybe I need to learn something new, or maybe it's me
Yeah, maybe it's me that I need.
to do that.
Yeah, what are the things I can control?
It's that lane, it's those players, it's those cards, it's that color, it's this and that.
Yeah, we looked at the formula. 1 out of the 4 things you can't control. You can sort of look at the data, that's about it. But then the other 3 you can control, right? So there's so much you can work on.
Yeah, what happens when you have a dealer that consistently won out you for the last 2 years? Long Pot, Theolo, Oldham, Jason.
Is that wrong?
Sorry. Jason.
I'll say my prior play, it's your fault.
Oh, why Jason?
Oh, why Jason?
Not only at one place, but multiple clubs. With deck changes.
Then at that point, I think you both share an infinity together that transcends logic.
Oh, there we go.
That's what I would say. You two are intertwined in some way. I don't know. Same thing, man. But yeah, that's about it, guys. That's all I have for you today. Thank you.